Look at someone's eyes today. Really look. That color staring back at you feels intimate, permanent, like something essential about who they are. But here is the strange part. 10,000 years ago, that color did not exist. Not in them, not in anyone. Every single human being alive had brown eyes. Dark, uniform, unremarkable brown. And then one person, somewhere near the Black Sea, had a child with something different. That child changed us forever. In 2008, a team of researchers at the University of Copenhagen published a finding that quietly rewrote what we thought we knew about human identity. Led by geneticist Hans Eiberg, the team had spent years mapping a mutation in a gene called OCA2, which controls the production of melanin in the iris. What they found was this. Every blue-eyed person on Earth, all several hundred million of them, traces that mutation back to a single individual. One ancestor, one moment, one copying error in a strand of DNA somewhere between 6 and 10,000 years ago. Not a gradual evolution. Not nature slowly selecting a better design over millennia. A single mistake. That spread. Think about that for a second. Here is what the science actually shows. The human eye, in its default form, produces melanin. Melanin is a pigment. The more your iris produces, the darker it appears. Brown eyes are simply eyes doing what eyes were built to do. Blue eyes are not the result of a different pigment. There is no blue pigment in a blue eye. What you are actually seeing is something closer to an optical illusion. When melanin production is reduced by the mutation, the iris scatters light differently. The same physics that makes the sky appear blue. An absence mistaken for a color. Green eyes work similarly, but with a small amount of melanin still present, producing that middle ground between absence and fullness. Hazel is the same story, with slightly more again. Every shade of eye color humans have, the full spectrum from pale gray to amber to deep brown, is essentially the same dial being turned up or down. Brown eyes are the dial at full. Blue eyes are the dial almost off, and all because of one person, 10,000 years ago, whose dial had a glitch. But here is where the story starts to get darker. If blue eyes offered no survival advantage, and researchers largely agree they did not, then why did the mutation spread so dramatically? Why did it move across entire continents? Why does it dominate certain populations today? The uncomfortable answer is one most people do not talk about. Sexual selection. Somewhere in that ancient world, the mutation was found attractive. Not useful, not protective, simply striking. Different enough from the norm to catch attention. And the people who carried it had slightly more children, or more successful partnerships, or more social influence, and the mutation moved forward through generations not because it helped anyone survive, but because someone found it beautiful. We did not just inherit blue eyes, we inherited someone else's standard of beauty, baked into our biology 10,000 years before we were born. And it gets stranger. Some researchers have proposed that blue eyes may have spread partly because the mutation makes both irises identical in color. In brown eyes, melanin distribution can vary slightly between the left and right iris. In blue eyes, that variation disappears. Both eyes match perfectly. The theory is unsettling. Identical eyes may have signaled genetic consistency, trustworthiness, health, even romantic attention itself. The exact moment we look directly at someone we are attracted to may have been evolutionarily tied to the shock of seeing eyes that were simply, strikingly, unlike anything anyone had seen before. For years, people assumed the spread of light eye colors was about geography, cold northern climates, low sunlight, a biological trade-off that allowed slightly more UV light into the eye to compensate for darker winters. That is a clean story, a logical one. But the evidence does not quite support it. If reduced melanin in the eyes was a meaningful adaptation to low-light environments, you would expect the same selection pressure to reduce melanin in the skin at the same rate. And while northern populations do carry lighter skin adaptations, the correlation with eye color is far weaker than the geography story would predict. Eye color and skin color are largely controlled by different genes. They do not travel together the way a simple environmental adaptation would require. The mutation spread for reasons that were not about survival. They were about desire, about what ancient humans noticed in each other, about what made someone pause, about what humans have always found impossible to ignore. But the real question underneath all of this is not about genetics, it is about identity. We assign enormous meaning to eye color. Parents notice it in newborns. Poets write about it. We describe it in the first lines of novels as if it explains something essential. We look into someone's eyes and believe we are seeing something true. And in a sense we are. We are seeing the result of a chain of choices stretching back 10,000 years. Every person alive whose eyes are not brown carries within them the continuation of one ancient mutation that someone else once found beautiful enough to pass forward. You did not choose your eye color, neither did your parents, neither did anyone 10,000 years back. It moved through time the way all truly powerful things do, not because it was better, because it was noticed. Look at someone's eyes again. That color you see, whatever shade it holds, arrived in this moment through an unbroken chain of survival and desire and accident stretching back further than written history. It is not a feature, it is not a flaw, it is a record of everyone who looked at someone before you and decided they were worth staying for.